and welcome to the regular December board meeting of the Blinn College Board of Trustees. I'll now call this meeting to order. The Texas Government Code permits this Board of Trustees to meet in a closed executive session for the following reasons, among others: to consult with the college district's attorneys on matters deemed privileged by the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct or Government Code 551.071, to deliberate regarding real property under 551.072, a prospective gift under 551.073, certain personnel matters under 551.074, security devices or security audits under 551.076, and economic development negotiations under 551.087. If the board meets in closed session, we will announce the particular section under which we will be doing so prior to initiating the closed portion of the meeting. I'd like to introduce two of our students. Sarah Cron is a freshman at Blinn College pursuing a major in agricultural sciences. A recent graduate of Turner Ashby High School, she relocated from Virginia to Brenham to join the livestock judging team and further her education. With a strong background in 4-H and FFA, Sarah has exhibited livestock at local, state, and national levels. Currently serving as Blinn College Ag Ambassador, she is dedicated to representing and advocating for the college. Sarah plans to transfer to a university to earn a bachelor's degree in animal science with the goal of working in the livestock pharmaceutical industry. And we also have Riley Guilfoyle. Riley Guilfoyle is in her second year at Blinn, where she is pursuing a degree in agricultural communications. She is a proud member of the Blinn livestock judging team and has enjoyed the opportunities it has given her to grow as both a competitor and a teammate. Riley graduated from Sealy High School, where she played basketball and was heavily involved in FFA. Throughout her time in Texas FFA, she competed in various judging contests, participated in multiple speaking events, showed livestock at local and major shows, and held several leadership roles. Blinn has allowed her to continue building on the passion she discovered through FFA, and she is grateful for the friendships and experiences that have shaped her along the way. Thank you both for being here. Sarah, you'll lead us in the invocation.
Well, please bow your heads and join me in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the opportunity to worship you freely. We come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, grow closer as a group, and nurture the goods of our community. Fill us with your grace, Father, as we make decisions that will affect the students, staff, faculty, alumni, and friends of Blinn College. And continue to remind us that all that we do today, whatever we accomplish, is with the goal of glorifying and honoring you. It's in your name we pray these things. Amen.
If everybody will please remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas. I pledge Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, and you may be seated.
Thank you both. You did an excellent job. We have no one signed up for public comment, so we will move directly to reports. Our first report will be the Chancellor's Administrative Report. Dr. Hensley.
Thank you, Chair Minky, and good morning, everyone. Trustees, today I have a few facilities updates to share before we recognize 3 professors who have announced their upcoming retirement from Blinn College. At the Waller campus, the design work on the new academic building is complete, and the guaranteed maximum price will be presented for your consideration later in today's agenda. Pending approval, construction will begin in January of 2026, and the facility is scheduled to open for the fall semester 2027. And at the Waller Workforce and Technical Education Complex, the landlord has completed underground utilities and poured the concrete foundation, and contractors have begun structural steel installation. Trustees, this project remains scheduled for completion in May of 2026, with classes beginning next summer. And then to the central plant. Upgrades to the central plant continue to progress. As you can see in these photos, the new cooling tower, chillers, and pumps were delivered and installed late last month. The screen wall has been completed, and the brick facade is expected to begin early this month. Facilities department is coordinating with the campus executive dean and campus stakeholders regarding any temporary utilities shutdowns to accommodate our new connections. Trustees, this project also remains scheduled on time for completion in September of 2026. And now, I'd like to transition to the podium. Trustees, we are joined today by 3 professors who have dedicated a combined 68 years of service to Blinn College and to our students. First, I would like to recognize Yvette Janacek and would ask her to come forward. Yvette has announced her retirement after 18 years of service to Blinn College and to our students. Yvette, I'd like to say some things about you. If you would just like to stand to the side so that everybody can see you. We want to hold on to you and look at you and admire you as long as we can. Trustees, Yvette has been with Blinn since 2008, when she was hired as a full-time instructor before being named a professor in fall of 2013. From 2011 through 2014, she served as assistant division chair. And in 2014 through 2015, she served as mathematics department head. Since that time, she has served as a professor in the mathematics department. Dr. Victoria Fowler, Dean for Mathematics, Business Engineering, and Technology, said the following, Yvette, quote, "Throughout her tenure at Blinn, Yvette has been a mentor, a collaborator, and a dedicated teacher who has touched the lives of countless students. She has taught effectively across all levels of mathematics, meeting students with patience and helping them build confidence regardless of their starting point. Her colleagues also recall her remarkable flexibility, always willing to move from one flavor of math to the next whenever the department needed her to do something differently. Faculty across campuses who have observed her in professional development settings speak to her deep content knowledge and her gift for reaching students. They note her genuine care for learners and her passion for teaching, qualities that have shaped both her classrooms and her colleagues' experiences. These reflections demonstrate the deep and lasting impact that Yvette has placed on our campus community. Yvette, we are so grateful for your years of service to this college, and we are proudly celebrating your very well-deserved retirement. 18 years, it's a long time. We've enjoyed having you every moment of it, and we wish you Godspeed. And I know that the trustees for Blinn College District would like to have an opportunity to shake your hand and to personally thank you. So if you don't mind, trustees, if you would stand. And Yvette, if you would come over here, I know that Board Chair Binky would like to make a presentation to you.
Thank you for all you've done for Blinn. I know that all of our students come with so many different levels of ability. To reach all of them is truly a gift, and we commend you for all of your hard work. Thank you so much. This is a small token of our appreciation.
And Yvette, I wonder if you would like to have an opportunity to introduce any loved ones with you here today, or any things that you would like to say.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and I have done my utmost, and hopefully I will have given a lasting impression to my students.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that, Yvette. Congratulations again. Let's take a photo together if we may. Let's step forward maybe about a foot.
All right, I'll count to 3, and 1, 2, 3. And just one more time, 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Trustees, our next retiree is Adam Klein. Adam, would you come forward, please? It's wonderful to have you with us today, Adam. Thank you. Trustees, Adam joined the Blinn faculty as a full-time professor in fall of 2006, and he was named a professor in 2011. In spring of 2014, he served as an assistant division chair. Dr. April Kincaid, Dean of Humanities, sent the following quotes from Assistant Deans Amy Winningham and Brandy Ermis. I quote, "Adam has been a cornerstone of the humanities faculty for many years. He has served not only as a faculty member, but also as a mentor and the person who always kept us laughing. For years, Adam's students lined up down the hallway for the opportunity to meet with him, to discuss what had been taught in class that week, or to get help with writing papers. His dedication to teaching and to positively influencing students' lives has been exceptional. While we will miss his wisdom and humor, we are thrilled for him as he begins his very well-earned retirement. Adam, thank you for all that you have done for Blinn and for our students for 20 years. It will be hard to think of Blinn without you. We appreciate all that you have done, and I know that our trustees would like to thank you and shake your hand as well. If you don't mind, give them the opportunity. And I know Chair Binky has a gift for you as well.
I know you will be missed. I can see the joy in your eyes. But if you had that joy in class, I can see why students were lining up down the hall. I'm so thankful that you've been a part of this.
You could hear everyone's laughing, and it reminds me of the students and how much they enjoyed you. Do you have anyone here that you'd like to introduce? And also, would you have any remarks that you would like to make?
Oh, well, it's been an honor to teach these last 20 years. That's really all I have to say.
I can't imagine this college district without you. Your 20 years will be so impactful for so many years in the future. We thank you so very much. Well, let's take a photo and try to giggle and laugh a little bit. Put on a big smile for everybody. Here we go.
All right, I'll count to 3, and 1, 2, 3. And just one more time, 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Trustees, our third retiree this afternoon is Lawrence Chilton. He's commonly known to friends and to colleagues as Larry. So Larry, come on up. So good to have you with us this morning. Thank you for coming. It's a little rainy out there today, and I'm glad that you could come. Trustees, Larry came to Blinn in fall of 1996 as a part-time instructor. And then in fall of 2001, he became a full-time instructor. And in 2005, he was named a professor. Dr. April Kincaid, Dean of Humanities, sent the following from Assistant Deans Amy Winningham and Brandy Ermis. And I quote, Larry's dedication, wisdom, and caring spirit have left a lasting mark on members of the Humanities Division and on his students. His collegiality and understanding will be long remembered. Larry will also be remembered as the instructor who played music before class, which was a wonderful way to connect with students. We are so thankful for his exemplary service to this college. And Larry, we offer our warmest wishes to you as you enter into retirement, and we hope that all of your dreams and all of your musical dreams come true for you. And Larry, I know that our trustees would also like to thank you as well, so if you would, please give them an opportunity to shake your hand and say hello.
I just want to mention real quick, if you don't mind, both my son and stepson had Mr. Chilton as one of their professors, and they both fondly call him one of the most enjoyable professors they had in their college career. So thank you, Larry, and good luck. We'll see you.
Very nice, thank you. Larry, I was thinking we should have played some music as we had you walk in front and shake everyone's hand. I know Trustee Chair Binky, there we go. I know Chair Binky would like to say some remarks as well.
I know that Dennis just told us about 2 of the students, but I have every reason to believe that there are many, many more. And you may not know, but you have impacted many, many lives, and we wish you all the best.
Larry, other than singing for us, do you have any friends, family that you would like to introduce, and also any remarks that you would like to make?
Lori, my wife, Mrs. Shelton.
Please stand up.
Otherwise, to you and to all concerned, thanks for giving me the space to apply my craft for 30 years, and that's about it. This itinerant gig is done.
Well, we hope you have a humming, wonderful retirement. Let's take a photo together.
Yeah, and I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3. And just one more time. 1, 2, 3. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. And just one more time. 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Congratulations again. And thank you for coming this morning. I appreciate it. He's so wonderful. I hope you enjoy retirement. Trustees, 68 years of service to this college. Congratulations to our retirees again. Trustees, thank you for your kind attention, and I'll return the podium back to Chair Binky.
Thank you, Dr. Hensley. Next up on our reports will be our institutional enrollment report for the fall 2025 semester. Dr. Becky McBride.
Good morning, Chancellor, Madam Chair, and Board of Trustee members. I have the pleasure and honor this morning to talk to you about our final fall enrollment of 2025. Last time we spoke about this was September. I think it was a little warmer outside, a little bit sunnier. And I had mentioned this is the first time in 3 years we began the fall on a Monday. 3 years prior, we began on Wednesdays and following the A&M calendar to collect more enrollment. So it's a little different for us this year. On this slide, trustees, you can see all the various parts of terms that we have offered. I think the last time we met, it was, as I said, the first 4 weeks were coming to an end, and now we're in the 15th week. So really at the end of the road here. We have finals that begin this Saturday, the 6th, and they end on, I think, Thursday, the 11th. We have graduation, as you know, on December 10th, which is Wednesday. And I do think we'll have an increase of students when compared to last year participating in graduation as well. So we're very excited about that. On this slide, you can see a visual for the parts of term. The line was all the way toward the left, I think, after the first bar, after the first 4 weeks. And now you can see it's moved all the way to the right-hand side. And I will say, from my perspective, this semester went by very quickly for us. This slide, we have a visual of the percentages. You can see the types of the sessions we offer. So the majority of through our district, the courses are offered in the 16-week format, or 64%. And you can see that displayed here in the very nice Blinn blue. And on this slide, trustees, you can see our certified numbers from fall of 21 to fall of 25. And I'm so pleased to show the 18,362. You can see we've surpassed from 21 through 24. I'd also like to note that we passed 2020 as well. However, we show 5 years at a time, and that would have been too many years to see on the slide. So, and on this slide, you can see for a breakdown of certified numbers by campus. Of course, I don't do this alone. I have so many wonderful people that I get to work with and represent here. I'm so grateful for Dr. Busicki, Dr. Kincaid, Mr. Anderson. My colleagues are phenomenal and always willing to add sections and courses and whatever we need to do, because we look at this daily as we're onboarding students. So it's just a wonderful team that we have. I would like to note, you can see we have some pluses here. Brenham campus and the high schools, Rellis and other. Brenham is very significant, additional 264 students on campus this semester, which was a 96% fill rate in our halls. So we're very pleased, of course, about that. The high schools, out of the 59 agreements, 30 of them increased this fall. And I do believe that is in part with the FAST involvement that we have. So thank you so much for allowing the college to join that. And of course, Rellis had more students on campus. And I'll touch a little bit upon some of the red you see on the screen for Bryan and Schulenburg and Seeley. Bryan is heavily impacted by A&M's enrollment. As I mentioned at the beginning, we make sure our calendar helps us to gain some more folks that way. We have noted, of course, the freshman class at A&M has grown every year, and it did again this fall. In addition, last fall when we spoke, I mentioned that out of the 41 Texas public universities, 36 had increased their enrollment. This year it's 30 that I could find. So you can see that trend is continuing. So if I'm a student and I can start my 4-year program, I'm going to start it right away, and I'm going to do that. So directly impacts us there. I will say that our communication with students doesn't stop. This semester, we called over 1,650 students that were with us in the spring and not the fall. We've sent almost 800,000 emails, thousands of texts. Our recruiters are, of course, always on the go and talking with folks as well. So we don't skip a beat. We keep working with and trying to pull back as many students as we can. But overall, I'm so pleased with our numbers for this fall semester. The takeaways this morning, trustees, of course, that our final number is up since 2020. I'd like to note that since the pandemic, this is our second highest enrollment that we've had for the district, and so pleased to share that with you today. Our most significant increases, of course, have been at Brenham, the 264 additional students on campus with 13% increase, and the 17% increase with dual credit was 434 students we added. Of course, we're enrolling for winter mini and for spring, and I will say they're trending in a wonderful direction. I do think you'll see with dual credit an even higher increase from spring to spring. So we're seeing some excellent things from enrollment, and I'm just so pleased to be able to share that with you today. And I'll take any questions you may have.
Just comment, I was here when pandemic hit, and there was a major national crisis as it related to recovering from in-person attendance in colleges and universities. So I just want to commend you and your team on an amazing job. And obviously, we have some areas to grow in Bryan and some other places, but I'm totally confident with the way this team works that we'll get it done. So thank you all for the amazing job.
Thank you.
Question. The Brenham campus, that's great because the pandemic, things went down, things have been going up again. Do you think that some of that is due to the scholarships that we've been offering?
I don't think it hurts,
Okay.
to answer your question. Yes, ma'am. Every little bit counts, and you know everything is so expensive these days, too. So what's so wonderful, we have so many donors and individuals that give money for the students, and we try to give away every penny that we can.
I'll just add a little bit more to the scholarship question. Very lovely question, thank you. You know, it really was helpful. We added esports and scholarship. We added cross-country and scholarship. We added men's and women's soccer and scholarship, and we added men's and women's golf and scholarship. All of those really did help to contribute to the enrollment growth. In addition, I would want to note for you that we increased our engineering student participation on this campus by about 60 students this fall. So it's really impacting in a very lovely way, I think, the student enrollment at this campus. Thank you.
I got just a comment. Again, like everybody else, this is a good report, Becky, and thank you and your staff. And I know some of them are here today, and some of them are probably toiling away behind a hot keyboard right now and going to be working over the holidays while a lot of people are off. And I just appreciate you and your staff, and look forward to seeing you guys Wednesday. I do want to point out to the board, just something to take note, the high school dual credit, you see double-digit increases for the last 4 years, and actually I did some research and went back further than that. It's a great thing, dual credit's great, but it's also a double-edged sword, and I think someday we need to probably talk about that as a board, because I think it's impacting our other enrollment, particularly in Bryan. So anyway, great report, and thank you for you and your staff.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. McBride.
Thank you so much.
Our next report comes from Mr. Leighton Schubert. It's Training Completion Report as required by Texas Education Code 61.084.
Thank you, Chair Binky. Dr. Hensley, fellow trustees, my report's not quite as exciting as Dr. McBride's report, but it is required by the Education Code. Trustees, as you know, you have annual training requirements that are required under state law. Y'all have met just about all of them to none of your own fault, but in Senate Bill 37, this past session, there was some additional new training that was required under that bill. The coordinating board is developing that training. They're going to be releasing that for your viewing pleasure in January, and we will be sending out links and all those things so y'all can view that, and then we'll sign all the declarations that you viewed that. So you've done almost everything except for what the coordinating board hasn't released yet. We'll get that out to you in January, and then we will have all those training reports done at that time. Happy to answer any questions. Oh, it's honestly, some of it might harken back to your civics class. It's about how state government works, how it operates, all those sort of things. It's legislatively mandated in Senate Bill 37, the specific items that they have to do there. So a lot of it is legislatively based on how the whole process works, which I'm sure will bring back wonderful memories from civics class. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, trustees.
Our next speaker will be Mr. Michael Schaefer. He's going to provide us with the annual Blinn College Foundation Report. Welcome.
Welcome, and Dr. Hensley Board, I appreciate the time today. I'm here to report on the Blinn Foundation. Last year was my first year as chair, and I think we had some of the comments I received from a few of y'all after that meeting was pretty good. The Blinn Foundation, what I want to do is go back and just kind of regroup of what the foundation does. So the foundation is a 501c3, and so what that means is it's a nonprofit corporation, and we have to have independent board and governance from that of the college, okay? Our whole philosophy of what we do is support the initiatives of Blinn. We're operating by the bylaws that were amended in 2015. We are governed, according to the bylaws, we have to have a minimum of 3 board members and a maximum of 20. Right now, we have 18. So and I'm going to talk a little bit later in the presentation about that. Our terms are 3-year terms, and each year 1/3 of the board members go off. Some of the other interesting thing about this is Larry and Mary Wiggum have, they gave the college money for the Wiggum House, and that is actually where the foundation is housed. The foundation and the college, we kind of act as in a partnership. We're operating under, I usually call it MOU, but if you look at the regular terminology, it's a memorandum of agreement, and so I have a hard time doing MOA instead of MOU. But the agreement that we have there is the college will provide, you know, the staffing, office space, and they cover a lot of the operational day-to-day cost. So that's the college's role. The foundation's role is what we try to do is raise money, and as we were talking about with trying to provide more money for scholarships for students to come. And our other job that we do is managing fiduciary of all of our investments. The foundation, we meet quarterly. And we have 3 standing committees. We have the executive committee, which is the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. And then we have a separate finance committee, similar to what the College Board has. And the finance committee is made up of the treasurer and at least 2 other board members. And then we have the investment committee, which is chaired by the vice chair and 2 other board members. To me, and I don't know if it was my 20 years at the college, but I think Dr. Krausen can remember when we had to start doing goals. And I think it was due to Southern Association and our accreditation. And I remember the first time, you know, you just come up with all these great goals and come up with, and the only problem with that is the year or 2 after that, you had to do a report on the results of your goals. But the one thing that taught me is to be successful in anything, you got to set goals. So last year, when I was chair, we came up with 5 goals. A lot of these goals were, you know, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. But one of the ones that I want to accomplish as while I'm chair is I'm damn determined that we're going to reach 350 endowed scholarships. We've made some headway on that, but that's one of the things that I promise you, when we get 350, I'll be gone. Okay, but one of the other goals that we had last year is in the past we had some really cool events in Bryan. And what I want to do is when we talked about the thing in Bryan is go back when I was at the college. One of the things that I had saw was If I Had a Hammer program. And when we had the If I Had a Hammer program, we had, the last year that I was personally in charge of it, we had over 3,000 students that attended the If I Had a Hammer program. And I remember trying to sell that program to Dr. Volter. And he said, "You want to do what?" And I said, I saw it, and I said, you know, it's a $25,000 fee. And I said, "We can do this, this, and this." And he goes, "Michael, why is that so important?" And I said, "Well, the important thing is," I said, "in Brenham, Blinn is such a part of the community." But I said, you know, in Bryan College Station, we fight Texas A&M. And I said, how cool would it be if you go, especially this time of year, you go to Walmart, or you go to the mall shopping, and you see a kid wearing a T-shirt that has Blinn College on the back. And he said, "Where are the T-shirts coming from?" I said, "Well, every kid that comes through that program is going to get a T-shirt." And I said, "I'll get sponsors to pay for the T-shirts. But at the end of the day, we're going to have 3,000, or we're going to have walking billboards." And so that's one of the things that I think is so important in Bryan College Station that we try to do. And again, 3,000 kids. There were teachers that got T-shirts. If parents came, I mean, we're giving T-shirts out. And it was really cool seeing those around the community. So when I became part of the foundation, there was 2 events that we did in Bryan. We did endowed scholarship for Dr. Sharp, and then we did one for event for Chuck and Teddy Ellison, and very well attended. What I wanted to do is come back, and we had the pandemic, so that affected a lot of it, but do another event in Bryan. And so we came together, and I don't know if y'all know him, but his Joe Ramirez, and he's a brigadier general. I met Joe. He rented and eventually bought my dad's house, and he was a Corps Cadet Commandant. And if you ever listen to Joe, I think Dr. Hensley has. I mean, you hear about some of the sacrifices he did, and and all the different wars and all the places there. You're talking about a true American. And so, again, he was a Corps Cadet Commandant. He, I think, retired a year ago as a vice president of, I think, student services at A&M. Super good guy. And so we were thinking, who could we honor in Bryan? And so Joe Ramirez is the name that we had. Due to staffing, we weren't able to do it this year, but holding that event in Bryan, we're shooting for this next year, but we really want to do it on Veterans Day. And the scholarship will be the Joe Ramirez Veterans Scholarship, and it would be dedicated for students that are veterans that attend Blinn. And it's what we want to do is when we do that event in Bryan, have it where there's people that really do want to come. We want to do it like the other two events, and I mean, Fieldwater Event Center that we have, as much as we can. The other goals we had was filling the assistant director position that was vacant. We want to bring awareness to different building naming rights. And the next one was utilize more functions of the software that we bought called FundDriver. And I want to take a couple minutes and talk about FundDriver. And it's a software, but that thing is so important. Let's assume that Dr. Hensley's family did an endowed scholarship 10 years ago. All right, say it was $100,000. All right. When the money comes into the foundation, we have a Paragon Advisors, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. They're the ones that manage the cash and investments for the college. But what FundDriver does, it takes the Hensley scholarship, the $100,000 that's there, and the money that Paragon makes for all our investments, what it does is it allocates a portion that goes to the Hensley scholarship. So if the Hensleys come back in 7 years and say, hey, tell me the history of our scholarship. What it's going to show is it's going to show the earnings. Well, I always say the income or loss, or gains or losses, but we don't want to talk about losses. We're all into gains. But it will keep track of all the gains to it, and then also it will deduct any of the disbursements that were made to students. That's just a tip of what this software does. It is really incredible. So we really want to utilize more of that software. So that was our goals for 2025. Unfortunately, some things happened in 2025. We had both the director and the administrative assistant retired. And so they gave notice in May, and those positions were not filled till November. That in itself is disheartening, and again, there's part of this that is beyond nobody's control, but you had a small department and there was no succession. Even if there was succession, they both left at the same time and there was nothing that anybody do about that. But that causes us great concern. The other part, and I'm not being negative, but I'm speaking for a board, the other concern that we have is the board has not had any input on the selection of the new director. And that's a discussion that we're going to have with administration down the road. Remember, we have to act independent from the college's board. The college, again, I hear and see, and I think the whole entire board does, that the college, y'all, support the salary and the operational cost of these personnel, and y'all should have say. At the same time, as a foundation board or governing it, we would like to have a seat at that table. With that being said, we're going to go back into exciting things, okay? I'm going to go back to goals, okay? So this next year, between the events that happen is opened our eyes to a certain extent of things that could happen. All right, and I do want to say that, and I'm going to do these, when you get the PowerPoint slide, these are going to be in a little bit different order, but one of the things that we want to do is we want to review our board. And what I mean review the board is, one, our fiduciary responsibility. What are we supposed to be doing as board members? As I mentioned a minute ago, according to the bylaws, we have to have a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 20. We currently have 18. The good news about the 18, or even if a couple years ago when I came on, we had 20. And you're thinking, and again, I think part of it is a different change of mindset. I know our previous executive director really wanted all 20 positions filled. And that is good to a certain extent, because if you think about that's your army, you have those 20 people out there interacting, trying to get money into the foundation for scholarships and getting the word out. The bad part about that is such a large number of people on the board. Right now is when we study the board, trying to get people involved. So there's a couple of things that we've done this past year for me trying to do to get people involved is, one, we started doing Zoom, okay? We have, some of our board members are from Burleson County, Austin County, Washington County, and Brazos County right now, and we want to get somebody from the Waller area. But we realize when we meet quarterly, that's a time commitment just for the meeting, but then you got, just for me, for example, it's almost a half a day, driving from College Station, if it's on the Brenham campus, and we have our executive committee meetings before our board meeting, and then you drive back. I mean, it's your time commitment. So I think the Zoom thing is going to help. The other thing that I think is also going to help is we're going to adopt a code of ethics. And the first time where you look at people and think code of ethics, Michael, what's going on? The code of ethics, we don't think that anybody's not being ethical, but there's a thing that I remember when I was on school board. I was on College Station school board for 6 years, and there's at that first term, the first meeting of the year, you have to sign this thing. And I mean, it keeps you accountable. And so when you do that code of ethics, I think it brings a lot more integrity and public accountability. And what we're trying to do is when you click off that ethic things, one of the things is, I'm act ethically, I'm going to be the fiduciary responsibility. And the thing that I want to pick on there is I'm going to participate and I'm going to be involved. So part of that ethic policy we're going to do is we're going to incorporate in there that there's so many meetings that you have to attend. We had a couple of meetings, and I don't know how our former executive director did it, but the last couple of meetings we've had issues with having a quorum. When you have 18 people, and again, you do the drive time, I can see where there's issues, but my thing is we want people to participate. We want our army out there, but if it's just to build somebody's resume that they're part of the Blinn Foundation, that doesn't help us. So we really want to get people that are engaged. The second goal that we're going to try to go, and this is going to be a 2-year thing, is we want a complete external review of our operating procedures of what we do. This is one of the, and as I say, out of the board members, we got some very talented people. We have 2 attorneys. One of the ones that I was going to mention here is Kay Schwartz Bishop. Man, she was always quiet, and I don't know what happened when I became chair. She started speaking up, but her speaking up has brought it opened our eyes to things. And this is one of the things that she mentioned, and she's been in charge of different organizations. I think she was in chief of staff for Governor Perry. So when she's very, very sharp. And one of the things that she wants to do, and she's looking for people, is to come in and look at the foundation. How are we doing things? And I think this is timely right now. And again, unfortunately, we turning over new staff, but I think that's the time where, hey, what is the staff supposed to be doing? What are the different functions? So I think that is a good thing. With that being said, our third goal is staffing. We want to look at our staffing. The administration informed us that they are not going to fill the assistant director's position. So as a foundation, we want to look at things that we could do for us possibly getting somebody. As we look at things, and I know that a lot of the focus has been on scholarships. I know one of our goals is to get 350, but I want us to start thinking bigger stuff, okay? The endowed scholarships is great, but I want us to start looking at bigger ways that we can do to make the foundation even grow greater. And I'm going to show some statistics in a minute, but when we look at it as a foundation, as a board, when we were talking about this, yes, there's going to be a cost to the foundation if we want to bring in additional personnel. I mean, we all were hesitant about that. And what I did is I started reaching out to different foundations and see how they were staffed. One of the things that I found is that on a lot of these foundations, the people that are hired to go raise money, they bring in 4 times their annual salary. That's a minimum. And so I'm looking at it, I started thinking about that from a business point of view. Man, I'll be hiring people at Schaefer Custom Homes all day long. If I have to pay them and they can bring 4 times their salary, I mean, they're in. So again, we want to explore that and look at different type of fundraising stuff. Also with that staffing is when we do the operational audit, is there some of the operational stuff that we can do that going back to the fund driver? You know, a lot of, you look at different businesses around the country that are implementing technology. And so some of the stuff that we do, how can we implement technology more into the foundation? I was going to tell you, when I looked at this, I thought it said 100 minutes, not 10 minutes, but I'm going to try to speed up. Okay. The fourth one was our investment policy guidelines. And again, this is another, and Bishop had brought this out, and we started looking at our investment policy guidelines of, you know, how the foundation, you know, how do we invest, what are our policies, what should we invest in, and we've always been very conservative, and I think we're maintaining conservativeness, but so we put a committee headed by Ms. Bishop, since this was her idea. We've met, and it's very interesting because she's always been quiet, and then we had this meeting, and I mean, I thought I knew a lot about investments. I mean, it went over my bald head pretty quick. She is very, very sharp. And so she was asking questions. And again, we were going a long ways. And she said, I'm going to redline this and send it back to you. And so by the time I got it back, it was as red as Dr. Henderly's blouse. I mean, it was almost all redlined. So what we did is took that, and now we're having Paragon, our financial advisors, they're going to go through and redline it. And a lot of it is language, different language, that classifications of assets. So just updating that. And the other thing is, and I'm going to give you some information about it, is how do we invest on the different buckets or allocations of money. So we just want to make sure that they're investing. Again, as I said, we've been very, very conservative on our investments, so we want to maintain that. But how do we want them to, what different classifications of assets do we want them to invest in? The last goal that we have is fundraising, okay? As we said, the role of the foundation is we want to support the initiatives of Blinn College, students and staff, but also we need to bring in more money so we can help more. So we're looking at different types of fundraising events we have. One is, as I mentioned earlier, the Joe Ramirez event. We definitely want to have that. But we're also looking at trying to do some kind of signature event. I'm going to go back to when I was on College Station School Board, we had this event in College Station. It's called 50 Men Can Cook, okay? And I think it is by far one of the best events in this state. And what happens is it's called 50 Men, and so they have it at the Expo Center, and you have 50 people that, you know, Dennis might do cookies, somebody might do pizza, meatballs. I mean, so it's all kinds of different things. That thing today, there's probably almost 70 people that participate in this. They have to limit the tickets, but it's that signature event. I always call it my New Year's Eve because it's on the first Friday in February, but it's, I mean, you get there at 6 and you don't leave till midnight, but it's a fun event. You see a lot of people from the community that you wouldn't see. There's another event that's in Bryan College Station. I just picked up one of these, and the good news is I can't remember the exact name of it, but the good news, that's the bad part, but the good news is Bryan ISD does it, all right? And what they do is, I think it's called something about Foundry something, but like last year they had the Josh Abbott Band, and that was a thing. And what they do is they do music artists. And so the good thing is you're not thinking about the event name, but you're knowing Bryan ISD, and that's what we want to do at the foundation. The year before that, it was John Michael Montgomery, and the list goes on. But they have that event, and you just know that that's the Bryan ISD Education Foundation event. So we want to have something like that. Another thing that we really want to reach out to, I know there's some people that did not go to Texas A&M, and we won't hold that against you, but there's an Aggie 100, and the Aggie 100 is every year they have this, and it's the 100 fastest growing Aggie businesses are out there. All right. You could have been on there the year before, 5 years in a row, but it's the top fastest growing Aggie businesses. What I started thinking is, if you look at, and again, these are not graduates that probably that graduated, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years ago. Think about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and the graduate from A&M maybe went to work for somewhere and then started their own business. But think about those students, and we were looking at enrollment numbers a minute ago. How many of those students back then attended Blinn College? And so what I'd like to do is, if they're that successful, which obviously they're in the top 100, what kind of ties do they have to Blinn College? I know a lot of them are going to give to A&M, but what can we as a foundation, what kind of information can we get to try to help the foundation and do certain things? So that's one of the things that we're looking at. All right. On the last part of my presentation, it's going to have to do with money, which is probably what a lot of y'all want to hear. Paragon Financial Advisors are the ones that manage our investments. They were founded in 2007, and they have been managing the foundation's assets since 2009. They're registered with the SEC. The two account managers that we have is Robert Calhoun and David Haley, and I want to give them a shout out. Paragon is trying to get my 350. We got them to endow a scholarship this last year, so they're doing pretty good. The primary custodians they use is Schwab and Spira. All right. A minute ago when I was talking about the different asset allocations, what we do is we have them in 5 different pots, okay? We have equities, which are private and public, and they're roughly 42%. Credit, which is both private and public, is 41%. And this next category, guys, you're going to be excited about. We call it alternative, okay? And it's, just want to let you all know that the Blinn College Foundation, we have ownership in 2 different football teams. How you like that? NFL teams. Again, I know I'm getting close to my time, but I just want to share a few minutes about this. So if an NFL team is owned by a family, all right, they have 100%. That's one of their largest investments, but that in itself is a big investment. So what a lot of the franchises start doing is they'll sell a portion of their franchise, okay? And a couple of these, they sold 10% to these equity companies, all right? And you're saying, why would they want to sell that? Well, all of their assets are into their franchise, so they want to, one, have the family so it has cash, and so they can do other investments. One of them is the LA Chargers, I think what it is. And so what they did is they sold some of their ownership, and then the family started buying land around the stadium, and then they built hotels and did some retail stuff. But the cool thing about that is, the foundation that's one of our touting points that we own. Guys, we have ownership in 2 NFL teams, which is really cool. The other 2 types of assets we have is we have real assets, and then which is 5%, and then we have cash of 2%. That 2% cash that we keep on hand is we always try to have that. We give out, which is on my next slide, is we give out this last year about $1 million in scholarships and stuff like that. So that 2% is so we have enough cash so we don't have to have a fire sale when the college says, hey, we need, we got our spring scholarship, we need $500,000. So the Paragon does a great job doing that. At this point, I want to go through a couple of the classifications and really talk money. In 2024, the foundation brought in $900,000. 2025, and these are round numbers, guys. In 2025, it was $1 million. Our total assets, and these are going to get some exciting numbers coming up. In 2024, it was right at about $36 million. In 2025, we have right at $40,500,000. Very exciting. Our total disbursements, and that's money that's going out for scholarships, was $1 million in 2024 and $1.1 million in 2025. All right, this next category is our total investments. It was 34 million in 2024, and then in 2025 it was 39 million. All right, what I want to do real quick is, a minute ago I told you our total assets were 40,500,000, but our total investments is 39 million. The difference between those two numbers is the total investments is the amount of money that Paragon invests for us. The rest, the foundation has other assets that we have that the foundation does not manage. The next thing I want to talk about is its interesting facts, and then my presentation's over, but I think it's some really interesting facts. We did some research, or I did some research this last year on community college foundations. Unfortunately, I wasn't happy where we ranked. We ranked 13 of the 52 community college districts. Not good enough for me. We're going to get to the top 10. But I thought I would share with you a little bit about, I think you'll be surprised that the college districts that are on the top 3 or 4. You know, my first thing would be Lone Star, Dallas, and stuff like that, but it's not. Believe it or not, Tyler is the foundation with the largest amount. They have over $100 million in their foundation, followed by Amarillo of 90 million. Midland comes in third with over 85 million. And on this report, we started looking at how, what the enrollment of the college is, and I really was trying to hone into a couple things, and a couple of them was also how they staff them, the number of staffing. Tyler says they have 12 people. Guys, I can imagine, I worked at Blinn, there's these other duties that's assigned, so I think that somebody that's checking the mail, I don't know if that's included in one of the ones, or somebody that's, how they allocate that, but I think that number is misleading. But a lot of the other ones, like Amarillo has 5 and Midland has 5, so I just thought that was interesting in the amount of staffing. This next one, if you thought the $40 million was exciting, just wait till this next one. So I had mentioned that Paragon manages $39 million of the foundation. We made, that is like at $40 million, that's incredible. But there's something more incredible about that. All right, if you take the amount of that $39 million that individuals gave to the foundation, that number is $18 million. I see Mr. Kalkirsch doing the math. Michael, where the other $21 million come from? And guess where it came from? That came from the earnings that we made off those investments. So for the first time this year, if you look at the total $39 million that the foundation has, the majority, 54%, is made up of profit. And I think that is really cool number there. Our annualized returns from 2017 is 9.43%. With the change in staff, these next numbers, I'm just going to give them. I think there's more to that. I'm trying to get to that 350 endowed scholarships. There's been issues getting some financial information, but Mr. Schubert assures me that we're going to get on top of that. But I know there's the last 3 scholarships that I know of that were this year, and I think there was 2 more, was the Finnegan Scholarship, the Ellen Ellison Scholarship, and the Welton Parker Scholarship, and those totaled $400,000. In closing, I always like to close in something really exciting, is before she left, Susan had worked with Jim and Karen Morse on giving some money for the Hody Center. And we were told, Gentry, the executive director, informed us this week that we actually received $50,000 for the Hody Center for some new welding machines. And so that's some of the exciting news that we'd like to share with you today. I know that was probably more than my 10 minutes, but I'm all for any type of questions.
So how many endowed scholarships do we have? You're looking at 350? So
I can tell you, and again, this is a change in staff. That's a number that I'm trying to get from the new staff. I was working on the presentation.
So we don't know how many we have.
I think, and again, I'm not trying to throw staff under the bus. I mean, it's a new staff, and I imagine there's a lot of stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, as a board, we're concerned that we need to get some people up and running, and again, it goes back to succession, and there's nothing that anybody could have done to have 2 people retire at the same time. But Dr. Krause and I think we're in the 340s. I'd guess we're somewhere around 345. And if I can get you to commit today, you'd be number 346.
Michael, I've got a question. Of the number of endowed scholarships, how many students that affect? In other words, we have one endowed scholarship from the Wilton Parker group. Are there 10 scholarships that we can provide from that single endowed scholarship, or is it,
Okay.
you know what I'm asking?
I see what you're asking, and just assume we had the 350, all right? What happens is the college manages, and financial aid manages who gets the scholarships, okay? I can tell you that if we had the 350, we're not necessarily giving 300, not each individual scholarship is dispersing money each year. For example, I think it's the Michael and Sandra Schaefer Scholarship. What we did was it's earmarked for faculty and staff members of Blinn College employees on the Bryan campus. So if there's not a faculty member or a staff member that's requesting to get money from that scholarship will not be disbursing any money that year. But there's also scholarships that disperse, like an individual scholarship could give out, say, $100,000. That could be made up of a whole bunch of individuals. So it's not, we're only giving out to 350 students. That number, I think that number would be very staggering if you knew that number. And that's probably a number I can get the foundation office to share with y'all in some type of transmittal.
I've got a question or two. Michael, the board, your 18 or 3 to 20 member board, where do those members, how are those members decided or selected, or who picks those?
We have a nominating committee, and I'll be honest with you, we're always, again, I'm going for, as being chair, I'm more concerned with quality than I am quantity. Sure. And so if there's somebody that we can reach out to, I know our newest member from the Brenham area is Stacy Schulte Walters. And I think, she has a pretty good connection, and she has attended every meeting so far, and she's been kind of quiet, but those of you know that Stacy, she's going to be gearing up pretty quick. So
those board members vetted through your organization?
Yes, and we have a nominating committee.
Okay, and that's how they're done. They're not, this board's not affected,
No, as Ross Perot would say, we're all ears. We really want some good candidates. And remember, 1/3 goes off each year, and they're limited to 3-year terms, or 3 terms.
3 terms.
So they could be on for 9 years, roll off, and then come back on, but we try to limit for 9 years. And part of it is getting new blood.
Second question I have is the agreement that you talked to. I've learned it a lot today, obviously, about the foundation. I didn't know exactly how it worked. The agreement that's between the college, I guess, and the foundation, is that negotiated annually? Is it a one-time deal?
The date that I have on here, I think it's been since Dr. Hensley was on there, and a lot of it happened when Mr. O'Malley, there was a point where a lot of the assets that have gone to the foundation were held as part of the college. And when those transferred over, I think that was think about the college. They transferred lots of millions of dollars to the foundation. So, that MOU is like, hey, what are y'all going to do? It was a big trust thing. And sure. I was on the foundation board the first time when that was going through. And so that I would think, since Dr. Hindley's been here, so it's probably about 10 years, would you say, 8 to 10 years?
We did one, if I recall correctly, Michael, it was around 2016 when we refreshed our bylaws and our agreement. And then we refreshed again when the college transferred the monies that we were holding for scholarships and sent them to the oversight of the foundation.
Is it looked at and reviewed annually, or?
Periodically, but not on a given schedule.
And I will say that, it's 4 or 5 pages long, but at the end of the day, it's basically the roles and responsibility of each party. And so
I'm just curious.
There's a lot of stuff in there, but at the end of the day, we're a partner. It's a partnership. And
things have certainly changed over the last 10 years. Is it time for a review and look at that. That's just a thought
Yeah,
and suggestion
we'd
I
be
have.
glad to get with administration and do a review.
The Joe Ramirez fundraiser sounds real exciting. I'd like to make sure to be invited and included.
Y'all definitely will be.
For that.
It's going to be
You're
a
doing
good event, again, bringing awareness of Blinn College to the Bryan College Station. I mean, they know we're there, but, you know, besides students coming there, what can we do to let they get to hear my exciting, hopefully I'm contagious to other people about Blinn College, and that's what we want.
Thank you, Mike. I remember the Hammer House also. It's a good program.
Yeah, thank you.
Quick question. Michael, you talked about staffing a little bit. On those other colleges that had significant staffing, do you have information on whether the college was funding those staffing or whether the foundation was funding that staffing?
I have the number, and again, the way that we gathered this information, some of them were like hesitant. Some of them were calls that we did that were telephone calls. Some of them were emails, but the majority of them was the college was staffing, paying for the staffing of that. And again, Mr. Colcourse, it's one of those things that, and I hate to say it doesn't really matter, but it does. You know, the foundation can pay for the personnel cost, okay? Like if we hired somebody, if we're allocating $1.1 million for the benefit of Blinn College, if we're paying for our own, that whatever we pay for somebody, if the foundation's is going to go against that, that 1.1 million, which is not exciting, but the exciting part is you got to look at the other part. If they're bringing in 4 times what their salary is, you're still in.
I think that's the key. You have to have folks that actually bring in funding.
And again, the kudos to those colleges. When I started looking at them, I never expected Tyler College to have what they had. They just blew me away. Thank you all very much, and we will be excited to come back here next year and hopefully with more exciting information.
Michael, before you leave, I think it would be lovely if you could introduce Gentry or Layton. Our board has been informed about Gentry's hire. Gentry, won't you come forward for just a moment, please? He's been off to a terrifically wonderful start already. Gentry, ladies and gentlemen, this is Gentry Woodard. He's now the executive director of the Blinn College Foundation. He's the father of the bride. His daughter is getting married on Saturday. And here he is. Gentry, is there anything you'd like to say just as a few moments of welcome?
I am excited to be here. I've been here a couple weeks now. I've taken the first few weeks to meet my board, people from within the college, and some of you I've met. I know most of you, there's a lot of exciting things happen this first few weeks that I've learned. There's a lot of people wanting to give money. We had a big major gift last week. I'm working on a few more. 343 is the number of endowed scholarships that we have right now, if you wanted to know. But lots going on. I'm happy to be here, and that's about it. And my daughter is getting married on Saturday. I have 3 daughters, and the oldest one's getting married on Saturday, so I've tried to stay out of the house as much as I can the last few days. So thank you all. I look forward to working with all of you and my board members, so thank you very much.
Gentry and Michael Bowe, thank you so very much. Gentry's coming to us, trustees, you may recall, from St. Joseph's Hospital. He has deep connections within Bryan College Station area, as well as in the Waller area and in the Houston area. I think he'll be a tremendous asset to the foundation. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate both of you.
Thank you. Next, we will move to our consent items. I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to share how many students receive scholarships. That's what I've been working on. We're just under 1,200. So when you asked how much, I think 330 we've awarded this fall, about 1,200 students, just under 1,200. So just wanted to close that circle so we all know. Thank you.
For this year, 1,200 students receive scholarships.
Yes, ma'am, just under. It's around 1,190. So
That's impressive. Thank you all. The next item on our agenda is the consent items. All items listed in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Trustees and will be enacted upon in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a trustee so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent and considered in discussion and possible action. Trustees receive agenda materials in advance of the meeting to prepare for the business to be conducted. We have the approval of the minutes from the November 18th regular board meeting, approval of a resolution to cast votes for membership on the Board of Directors for the Washington County Appraisal District for a 2-year term, and authorization for the administration to submit a grant application for the bullet-resistant components for law enforcement vehicles grant program with the Office of the Governor's Public Safety Office. I need a motion, please.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will now move to the discussion and possible action items. First of all, we have the presentation of audited annual comprehensive financial report for the period ending August 31st, 2025. Dr. Burton.
Chair, trustees, and Chancellor Hensley, I would like to introduce Dane Legg. He is a partner with Lott Vernon to give you the results for the annual financial report.
Good morning. As promised, we got it done. I'll remind the board, after I mentioned it on Monday, OMB compliance didn't come out to the day before Thanksgiving. So that delayed us as it relates to the federal single audit section and several parts of this AFR. I'm happy to announce we did get our changes done. Finished binding it tomorrow, so you do have it in front of you. This is your fiscal year 2025 comprehensive annual financial report. We have several opinions in there. The first opinion is related to the format and content of that financial statement. It is an unmodified or clean opinion, meaning it's in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's in compliance with the Texas Higher Education Board. And then we have some opinions at the back related to the federal side of the House and state, and that's where OMB came in. We could not release those yet. I'm happy to say those are both unmodified opinions with no findings. As I did on Monday, I'll go over a quick summary of the financial statements. Just ask me questions if you've got any, especially since we looked at this on Monday. As it relates to any of the numbers that we looked at, nothing has changed. The only thing that changed for us was just some tweaks to the letters and the CFA. So all the numbers we discussed on Monday have not changed. I also brought my cheat sheet in case you don't want to look at the big document, so I'll be looking at that as I go through the variation analysis. If you want to look at the book, we're going to start on page 27. This is your statement of net position for this fiscal year. Total assets, indicator number 1, 400.3 million, right at where we were last year. Little trade-off in cash and investments and capital assets. Your cash and investments are down about 30.3 million. And then your indicator number 3 there, your capital assets are up about 27.8 million. That's just a spending of cash on fiscal assets net of depreciation. And then indicator number 2, your accounts receivable. I know that one of those numbers where we're peaking into the 26 fiscal year at 27 million, that number is up 2.3 million over last year. Total liabilities, indicator number 4, 245.9 million, up 3 million over last year. Your two biggest increases, first is indicator number 5, earned revenues at 41.4. That's also a good liability. That's a peak into 26 fiscal year. It is up 1 million over last year. And then down there on indicator number 7, our favorite pension and OPEB liabilities. The OPEB liability of 54.2 million is actually up 8.6. The two decreases to mention, bonds payable, indicator number 6 at 92 million is down 4.3 million over last year with your debt principal payments. And your net pension liability at 24.5 million is down 2.5 million. giving us a total net position for this fiscal year, indicator number 8 of $153 million. That is up $2.1 million or 1.3% over last year. As I did on Monday, and I always do because I want to get it down to the actual reserve, you look at the indicator number 9, that's your unrestricted net position. It is negative because of the pension and OPEB liabilities. Once I take all of those liabilities and assets out of the equation, that grows to a positive $62.4 million, which is a more accurate measurement of what your reserve is from an equity standpoint, and represents 5.1 months worth of operating expenditures. So overall, once you take 68 and 75 out, this is a very strong balance sheet. Your assets are greater than your liabilities by $235 million. Any questions on the balance sheet? If you flip the page, we'll look at revenues and expenses. Indicator number 1 is your operating revenues, $79.3 million, down slightly, $2.8 million or 3.4% from last year. Couple of decreases here. Tuition and fees, indicator number 2 at $62 million is down $2.6 million. Federal grants, the one right below that, indicator number 3 is down $500 million. We didn't have the adult literacy program. And then auxiliary, indicator number 4, is also down $800,000, primarily with the decrease in housing. And then indicator number 5, state grants and contracts, is actually an increase. That $3.5 million is up almost $1 million over last year with your increase in your skills development grants. Total operating expenses, indicator number 6 at $146.3 million is up $1.9 million or 1.3% over last year. Your biggest increase is auxiliary, indicator number 7, up $1.4 million over last year. The two biggest increases, as we spoke of earlier, insurance is up 37% over last year, and utilities are up 7.3% over last year. Non-operating revenues, indicator number 8, at $69.2 million, is up $2 million over last year, or 3%. Your big increase is indicator number 9, federal revenue at $23.3 million, is up $3.6 million. Most of that is Pell Grant. Pell Grant income is up $3.2 million over last year. And then investment income, to combat that, indicator number 10, it is down about $1.6 million at 4.5, and that's just a trade-off of the spending of the capital assets. You had less short-term investments. Leading us to indicator number 11, and that is our change in net position. That $2 million is our 1.3% increase in net position. Any questions on revenues and expenses? If you flip the page, this would be the section that I wouldn't have been able to release if I had to on Monday, but I'm glad we can release it now. This is a summary of all the results for the federal single audit and state single audit. 1, 2, and 3 on that page deal with the internal controls as it relates to the financial statements themselves. Again, unmodified or clean opinion with no findings. 4, 5, and 6 deal with the federal and state programs required to be tested. It is also a clean opinion. And indicator number 7 identifies those major programs that we were required to test. On the Fed side, it is the Student Financial Aid Cluster, as we thought it would be. And then on the state side, it is your skills development grants. Flipping the page, all of this goes into the data collection form with Feds. You see there the thresholds we're required to use for the major programs. And then item 10 and 11 is a question most grantors go to see possible grantees, and that is that you do qualify as a low-risk auditee for both federal and state grants based on last year's audit and this year's audit. Any questions on compliance? Yes, ma'am.
Dane, we have received the full report today, and of course, this is always an exciting day for for accountants.
Yeah, yes.
And I just want to say thank you to our financial and accounting department. Takes a huge effort to prepare this report. A commitment year-long in getting and organizing the data so that it can be used by external and internal users. One of the things that on Monday when the budget committee met, we received just a partial report. The report today, of course, is full accrual. During the year, the reports that we receive for management purposes are a mix, sort of a hybrid, I would call it modified accrual, some cash basis, some accrual basis. But since we've got the full report, I always enjoy reading the MD&A. I always enjoy looking at the unaudited data. But one of the key pieces, we talked about the balance sheet, and we spent some time on Monday talking about the reserves and our fund balance. We also took some time to look at our income statement, going over the changes in the different accounts. One of the new pieces that we have today is the cash flow statement. I just want to take a look at that real quickly. If we could go over that perhaps and take a look at we had talked a lot about cash flow, especially as it pertains to the financing and the capital projects that we are having to come up. So could you perhaps take a look at that? I'm looking at, in specific, we show a net decrease in cash and cash equivalents, and I'd like to have you take a look at that and just let us know sort of what's going on. I don't really think that is a true picture. We do have a positive cash flow as presented to us by our financial and accounting department. So if you could just explain to our folks here how
Sure.
that works, I would appreciate that.
If you flip to page 32, that is your cash flow for this fiscal year. And I'm sure that on a monthly basis, y'all get a different report budget-wise and so forth. As you see in the middle of the page, there is a net decrease in cash and cash equivalents of a negative 30.8. The majority of that reason is what we spoke of earlier, what you spent on capital assets. So those were investments already earmarked for that purchase. You see that up about a third of the way down the page. Purchase of capital assets, a negative 34.3 million. Again, those dollars already earmarked for that. Most of that was construction progress. If you take that out of the equation, really and truly, I can take debt out too, but I mean, if I leave debt, principal, and interest in, then your cash goes from a negative outflow to a positive inflow of $3.5 million. I think yesterday or Monday, I think they were talking about, the college could make enough money to pay some other debt and things of that nature. He's looking at future numbers that he's creating with actuary kind of calculations. But this cash flow speaks to that, the fact when you take operating, leave your debt in, y'all still have an influx of $3.5 million. So that can be used for operations, it can be used for debt service, any of that nature. And all you really have to do is take the capital asset side out of the house, and that would be your cash inflow. And that's probably something y'all saw more on a month-to-month basis because they're not including that as much as a outflow. The cash flow is it's cash in, cash out. And so that is a good way of, and you can take debt out of the picture too and see that, you even have a larger cash inflow just on your operation side. But if you leave your debt in, take your capital out, that would be about net what you have left to spend on either operations or debt service. Any other questions? If none,
Seeing none,
that concludes my report for y'all's approval.
thank you. So we need to have a motion to approve the report.
Chair
accept.
Benke, the motion will be that the Board of Trustees receive, discuss, and accept the annual comprehensive financial report for the period ending August 31st, 2025 as presented.
So more with the language of Leighton Schubert.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Next on our possible action items is the authorization for administration to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price for Building 1 on the Blinn Waller campus. Dr. Burton?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to have Mr. Mark Feldhay come up and talk to us about this issue.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you again. I'm here to present the agenda item requesting that the board authorize administration to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price with Spa Glass Construction for Building 1 on the Blinn Waller campus. On the 3rd, just yesterday, Spa Glass Construction presented a guaranteed maximum price of $54,600,000 to construct Building 1 on the Blinn Waller campus. The GMP cost and soft cost budget of $13.4 million fall within the $68 million budget for the project. Upon approval by the board, a GMP amendment to the construction contract will be generated. Construction is scheduled to begin in January of 2026 with a projected substantial completion date of June 2027 and an anticipated occupancy in August of 2027. This project will include the construction of a 3-story, 82,000 square foot building located on the southwest corner of the Blinn Waller campus along FM 2920, the Waller-Tomball Road. The building will house a student lobby, police desk, an office, student services suite, disability services suite, multi-purpose room, esports arena, academic technology office, campus data center, shipping and receiving space, mail room, custodial spaces, building storage, maintenance spaces, library learning center, 16 lecture classrooms, 8 natural and physical science labs, faculty office suite, administration office suite, open study spaces, study pods, and meeting rooms. Site amenities will include 2 campus entry drives from FM 2920, the Waller-Tomball Road, visitor parking, student parking, and staff parking. Funds for this project are available from unrestricted cash and the 2026 series bond funds. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
I'll go ahead and start. I can't go down without a fight. So, and I know that I'm not going to probably convince anybody, and that's fine. But I just want to say it looks like this is probably going to pass. And what I asked my fellow board members to think about is this the right programming that's going in that building? My neighbor here Monday said, you got to fish where the fish are. And there's certainly a lot of fish in Waller, and I totally agree with him. But as Mr. Schubert said in previous meetings, this building is only going to be for ACGM classes. Now, what that means for everybody is an academic course guide manual courses, English, math, history, government, that type of thing. Are we using the right bait for the fish out there? That's my big question. Diane, you said we got to do something, and I agree with you. We do have to do something. We are doing something with this workforce building that Max is putting his Magatronics stuff in. I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. But what I think we need to make sure and think about when we approve this building is we need more than just ACGM classes in here. We need to make this building flexible enough to where we can have other type of programs and classes in there. I sent a couple of you some websites of other community colleges building that type of flexibility. We're looking at 16 lecture rooms and 8 labs, I think you just said. Is there some way that we can develop this thing to where we can offer other things? Now, I'm not saying we offer a welding class or anything like that in those, but there's other WECM, if you will, workforce ed type courses that don't need those type of labs. So I think that we would be remiss if we don't think about that. And so I guess that's my plea here is that we think about that. I'm afraid if we pass this for the $68 million and Again, Schubert had mentioned that maybe buildings 2 and 3 is where we do a workforce type thing. But what I'm afraid of is we won't have the money to build those in the future. And that we'll have to go back and refit this building in the future. This is basically the same building we built in Bryan 25 years ago. Now, it's going to be a lot fancier and prettier, and we'll have a big grand opening and take a lot of pictures and have politicians speak and everything like that. But in terms of programming, it's very similar to the buildings we've built in the past. So I just ask that we think about the programs that go in there, and let's keep an open mind. Let's not just fit it for ACGM courses, but fit it for all courses. Now, just in the end, I found something this morning from the University Business in September. It said, the modern campus is not just a place where students take classes. It's where they prepare for careers, connect with their communities, and build better lives. And I think that's what we need to be thinking about in this building, and not just teaching government and history. And in Brandon, there's nothing wrong with government and history, but we need to open it up to other things.
So what other type programs that would be in the workforce?
You know, there's C&E type courses. There's, I mean, we've got Jay Anderson in here. We've got, there's all kinds of other type of programs that could use those type of classes. It doesn't have to be welding. I mean, it could be, there's you know, all kinds of training that these different companies are going to have. I'm glad to hear that our new foundation person has some influences in Waller. I think we need to reach out to those companies and have a Dakin lab or whatnot. You know, I don't think we just need to pigeonhole it into the exact same classrooms we have on some of our other campuses. So, and I appreciate you guys listening to me for the last couple of months. So.
One of the things, though, that I thought was a good solution for, because, I mean, I could see technology type stuff going in there, but as far as the heavy workforce type equipment, I mean, I think the solution that we came up with was the build to suit, which will put more people in those programs quicker than this building at this time. But, I mean, technology type stuff, I could understand where that could fit into the building as well. But I think the build to suit was a great kind of a crossways between the two different types of programs. This will give us a place to actually have people come in Waller, as the other programs will start in next summer, which I think is exciting because we already have some of these things happening, like at the Waller campus, but also I know Dakin is a huge area, and they had reached out to have people come and teach their employees the different strategies they need. So I'm excited about the site building that we're doing. And I understand what Dennis is saying. We don't want to pigeonhole the building so much. So, I mean, to me, technology type stuff would be a solution for that.
Yeah, so let me just read one of these that I had sent out. They built a building similar to this, and they're adding programs such as computer-aided design drafting, CIS, cybersecurity, engineering technology, preventative maintenance, esports, mechatronics. Those are not ACGM classes, though. That's the problem, and that's what we were told, that this is only going to be ACGM classes, and we need to not have that mindset. So,
excuse me. Trustees, if I might, Vice Chancellor Jay Anderson and soon-to-be Vice Chancellor April Kincaid, would you two come forward, please? The administration has had, over the last year, deep conversations about the types of courses that we can offer there. Those courses that are heavy-duty, oil, greasy-based, so to speak, those are going to be at the Waller Workforce Technical Center. But we have open classrooms that we will focus with academic transfer. Within those classes, there are many things that we can do also within Jay's area that don't require the specialized facilities and aren't greasy-based, so to speak, such as welding. There are many of them that are technology-based and others. In addition, Jay Anderson has been working closely with Dakin. So if you could just take a couple of minutes to share your thoughts with the trustees regarding the programming at that building.
Yes, excuse me. Thank you, Dr. Hensley. Good morning, Chair, trustees, Dr. Hensley. We have had extensive conversations with many of the stakeholders regarding the technologies that will be utilized. As Dr. Hensley mentioned, many of the hard technologies, if you will be at the Waller complex, the technical education complex. Items such as additional hydraulics, pneumatics, programmable logic controls. The welding, as you're aware, is taking place at the Waller ISD partnership, and we also have a very strong partnership with the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration. And much of that is taking place, or essentially all of that will be taking place at the Waller ISD. Now, many of the technologies that augment heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration, and that will augment the welding can take place at the new Waller Technical Education Complex. We have roughly 30 Associate of Applied Science degrees, as Trustee Krause mentioned. The AAS degrees are what is referred to as CTE coursework, the Career and Technical Education coursework, or the WECMs, as we heard in the past. The state has now switched that over to Career and Technical Education, and they've done away with the WECM manual. So we have the ACGM, which are the academic course guide manual courses, the liberal arts and your core courses that fulfill the degree requirements. And then on the other side of that, we have the CTE. So these degrees essentially these courses work together to fulfill the requirements of the degree. Many of our AAS degrees can be taught off-site of a hard technology environment, such as the, let's say, something like artificial intelligence. Let's talk about maybe cybersecurity. Let's talk about some of these other kinds of AAS degrees that include the accounting technology. So when we think of AAS degrees, we really have to think across the entire spectrum of some are clean, let's say clean technologies, and some are manufacturing technologies. I believe they're all clean technologies because many of our manufacturing environments are extremely clean, and the cleanliness standards are part of their quality management systems. So when we look at that spectrum of AAS degrees, I like to think that ACGMs complement the CTE complements the ACGMs to really roll up a very strong degree that puts employability skills into an individual's hands and into their minds so they can go to work and they have those value-added skill sets. So with that said, as Dr. Hensley mentioned, many of these CTE courses, the AI, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, computer-based AAS degrees, can be leveraged or launched in typical kinds of computer-based classrooms. So Dr. Krause, as you mentioned, let's be thinking about how these can orchestrate and work together to build these strongest opportunities for our students. Any other questions?
Dr. Kincaid also.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. So academic affairs in our early strategic enrollment planning for the Waller Campus Building 1 that is under discussion now, we have been thoughtful of and attentive to the board's comments, concerns, and interests regarding the program offerings. And so we have incorporated that into a threefold strategy for our strategic enrollment planning for the Phase 1 building, which is the workforce building, and then its alignment to Phase 2, which would be Building 1 on the Waller campus. In doing that, as Vice Chancellor Anderson identified, the workforce, the career technical and education high demand degree programs, and the high degree programs on the academic side of the house often overlap. So in that strategic enrollment, we had in our threefold strategy, one, we want to make sure to capture as much enrollment as possible in the area, identifying first and foremost the workforce needs coming out of that area, but then also making sure that we're supporting the academic needs. Many of those degree plans require some of those academic courses, and then we get those high demand academic course programs there. By doing so, we are going to focus on those high demand courses, the ones that serve both needs. Through that efficiency, we're being fiscally responsible with our facilities, our faculty resources, and our staff resources to make sure that we are being as fiscally responsible as possible while still maximizing all of those enrollment opportunities. The third part of that strategy is to make sure that we look to that single thread that goes through all three of the strategic plans for the college, and that is making sure that we are doing all we can to maximize our funding opportunities, which means capturing as many of the credential of value programs as we can, including the academic and academic transfer, and then, of course, continuing on with the great work that Dr. McBride and her area has been doing with dual credit, and those are the three funding opportunities that we have for House Bill 8.
Dr. Kincaid, so I'm going to extrapolate that there will be some of these types of classes taking place in Building 1 of the Waller campus.
Absolutely, yes, sir. That is where we started with what those workforce needs were going to be, and then looking at the academic courses that are going to be supporting those degree programs. So we started there.
Dr. Kincaid, that was the best academic discussion that I've ever heard at a board meeting. And I thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're very kind.
I
I
thought that was
appreciate you.
I thought that was very well done and very comprehensive with what our opportunities are for this new building.
Thank you.
One thing question I had for Jay and possibly you too, Dr. Kincaid,
Yes,
is
sir.
the team. You mentioned clean technology labs. Are the labs in this building that we're voting on today, are they science, chemistry, microbiology labs, or do we have some clean technology labs in this space? And when you were, sorry, go ahead and you can answer that.
I can answer that, Mr. O'Malley. We have biology labs, we have chemistry lab, we have microbiology, we have physics. So these are very similar to what you would see at the Schwartz building on the Rellis campus or the STI building on this campus.
Should some of these be changed to include some clean technology labs and not build the typical science lab?
Let someone else speak to that.
I can answer that. They will be able to serve both. So some of the career technical education programs do require some of those biology courses that require the biology labs. So it will be able to serve that purpose. Some of the other labs will be able to fit into the engineering as well as some of the career and technical education programs. So again, we're trying to maximize that efficiency with our resources to be as fiscally responsible as we possibly can. So they're going to do more than one job for our students to capture as much enrollment as we can.
I thank you for that, Dr. Kincaid.
Yes, sir, my pleasure.
Jay, I appreciate that. We've talked about this project for the last year. I've had several concerns and several issues, still do not support it. One of my concerns was the academic side, which I think you helped answer a lot of those concerns today, and I really do appreciate that. I wish I could have had that same comfort 8 or 9 months ago regarding the academics and the programming for this facility. My other concern is the financial side. I really think that this straps us with additional debt that I like a little slower approach towards that. I'd like for that Waller area to develop more. I'd like for that workforce campus to develop more before we issue another $50 million in debt and the college assume $150 million in total debt. I just don't think we're prepared for that with our financials and what some of the projections are and where the states put us financially with capping tuition rates and with capping what their state reimbursement might be. So I have those concerns as well. I do respect, though, each of my colleagues and other trustees on this board, and that they've reached a different conclusion, that's fine. But I want to share where mine is, and I do not support the project. You know, Brandon, I was thinking all night what I was going to say today, and your father kept coming to mind about the democratic process and how we all can share these thoughts and opinions and have that discussion. I assume Brandon's still back there.
Yes, sir, he is.
Dr. Joel Franke was a wonderful professor here at the college and someone that I looked up to as well. So I'm glad that we can have this debate and have this discussion. I'll be voting no, but I appreciate everything that you presented. Thank you.
Yes, sir, my pleasure. And again, we were quite attentive to and thoughtful about the board's comments and concerns in our planning.
I just want to start, which is appropriate for me. That's appropriate for me that Proverbs 29 and 18 say, where there's no vision, the people perish. So I connect that to the master plan from Gensler in 2021. We have been very diligent, very, very thoughtful. As number one, Gessner did the full analytics on the greatest growth potential for Blinn College, and that was clearly designated as the Waller area. The second thing for the legislature to open our college district to include this service area speaks volume about what the legislature feels as it relates to potential growth for this area. I think with dual enrollment, because in Washington County they serve Ball and Old Testament they serve Baal, but feeder programs, those Waller programs serve as feeder potential enrollment for our Waller district. So with all of that being said, I think I want to commend the chancellor and the team for being very, very intentional. And it doesn't have to be either or, it can be both. And then I think the last thing is a guy who also served as chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. We have to always look at community corporate partnership. All this money may not be Blinn money. Docket may want to invest money in this. Other people may want to invest money with this. So as we look at debt ratios and that kind of stuff, the bottom line is that we need to think about our future generations. And as now the longest tenured board member here, I think about when the last act of Brother Charles Bossier was to approve that 100 acres of Waller College so that we could think about our children and grandchildren. So I want to thank you all, and I know we're not voting now, but I'm 100% in support of the Waller project.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want to thank the administration and staff for all of the work you did on this, because it hasn't gone lighthearted on this end either. So thank you very much.
I appreciate everyone's input from the board, from all the faculty and staff. This has been a long road. All right. Do you have anything further?
Nothing else, ma'am.
All right. I think we're ready to vote.
I'd like to make the motion that the board authorize the administration to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price with Spalbath Glass Construction Corp. for Building 1 on the Blinn Waller campus.
Do I have a second? I think we're going to go with Wells on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
May I? Yes. There are many who need to be thanked. There are many who worked for hours, weeks, months, bringing us to today's vote. First and foremost, I thank the Board of Trustees. I believe through your leadership that you have set forward a path for Blinn College District's future for generations to come. And for that, I am most appreciative as Chancellor. There are many staff who are listening right now, and I want to thank them for their extraordinary support, particularly during the last 12 months. And for those of you present, thank you. I know how much you have given, both personally and professionally, to this effort. And I am going to ask each of you in this room to stand up so that I, as Chancellor, may thank you. Please stand. I appreciate the moment to share a few comments. Thank you.
Now we will move to item C in the discussion and possible action items. Authorization for the administration to proceed with the issuance and sale of revenue bonds series 2026. Dr. Burton?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to reintroduce Mr. Stephen Adams with Specialized Public Finance, Inc.
Thank you, Chairman, Chancellor, members of the board. Stephen Adams with Specialized Public Finance. And what we're doing today is, authorizing the debt to pay for the project that was just approved by the board. We're authorizing the sale of up to $55,500,000 in bonds, which will be used along with cash now on hand and to be generated in future years for total projects of almost $114 million. We expect to sell the bonds on February the 12th and then close on March the 18th. The next agenda item is a reimbursement resolution, which will allow the district to start spending money on this and other projects, and if it so chooses, to repay those expenditures out of bond proceeds. The bond structure that we're looking at is a bond which will mature a 30-year bond. It will have a 10-year call on it, so after 10 years, the board will have the option to prepay the bonds or refund the bonds, whatever the board chooses to do, in all or in part. The annual payments will be about $3.8 million per year. The aggregate amount of the payments, $115 million over that 30-year period. We project debt service coverage of 4.4 times, meaning that your cash flows generated each year will be 4.4 times more than the actual debt service paid. We have a bond covenant requirement that be 1.2 times. The project, when we financed it, looking at the finances for the board, we didn't include any growth. However, when we were presenting it to the rating agencies, or when we do present it to the rating agencies, we are going to show them that we do expect this campus to have students and to have additional revenues to help pay for the project. And this project will have also a reserve fund, which will be funded from cash on hand. So the action item that you're taking today is to pass a bond resolution. You're going to delegate the right of a pricing officer to sign the final pricing after we take competitive bids on February the 12th. Now, pursuant to state law, in order to do that, you have to assign certain parameters to the pricing agent. The pricing agent is defined as either the chancellor or the vice chancellor for finance. So either one of those two positions can sign on the 12th. The parameters that we have is that person cannot sign to sell more than $55,500,000 par amount of the bonds. The true interest cost can't go over 5.75%, and the final maturity can't go beyond October 1, 2056. If for whatever reason the market changes and we can't accomplish those, we have to come back to the board and discuss why we can't meet any of those parameters. This is the debt service of Blinn College. You see the projected 2026 bonds and the current debt, and you can see over time that the debt service comes down. So once we get that campus open and start generating even those revenues, you'll even have more capacity for future growth elsewhere. These are the principal payments. I think, Mr. O'Malley, you mentioned, yes, we are going over $140 million in total debt. As you can see, it is declining pretty rapidly over time. So you will, again, be paying off your debt in a pretty good fashion. You're not delaying the principal or anything like that. All of our debt is run level. I know this is a lot of numbers, and you may or might not be able to see it, but this is the cash flows that we look at to show that you can pay this debt without any growth. And if you column H, which you can't see is that debt service coverage, it starts out at the 4.41 that I mentioned, but you see over time it eventually pretty quickly goes up to 5, 6, and even 7 times debt service coverage as your debt service payments go down over time. As a percentage of total revenues, the most that it ever is 7.7%, your debt service compared to your total revenues, and then again, it goes down over time. This is the sources and uses of funds. The one thing I'd like to point out here is that the district will be contributed $3.38 million, give or take, for a debt service reserve fund. That cash will earn interest. That interest we'll use to help pay the debt service, and if all goes well, we'll use it to make the last payment on the bonds 30 years from now. Moving forward, just the calendar, we still have to get ratings. We expect to get bond insurance. We're probably going to get qualified by both Build American Mutual and Assured Guaranty. They've always qualified us before, and all of your bonds are insured. And what that allows us, we get their AA rating, so we get a lower interest rate. And going through the bidding process, when a firm bids on the bonds, they have the option to buy the insurance and sell as AA bonds, not buy the insurance, sell it at its underlying rating, and the market will decide which is better. We've had bids where we've had the winning bid with insurance, the cover bid no insurance, the third bid with this separate insurance company. So the market will decide all that on February the 12th. After we complete that, you have a board member meeting in February. Right now it's scheduled for the 24th. We'll come back and go over the results of these bonds, and hopefully it'll be a much lower rate than what we've shown you here. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I'd like to introduce Paul Braden with Norton Rose Fulbright. He's the bond attorney that writing all the bond documents, which will all have to be approved by the Attorney General's office, and he will be managing that process. So if you have any questions financially for me or legally for Paul, we'd be glad to answer them.
Can I go? Go right ahead. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you.
I'm proud you're here, sir. We enjoyed Paul the other day as well, and had a chance to discuss this with him. Don Volter says hello.
Oh, good.
Also, by the way.
Tell him I said hello.
I'll certainly do that. Is this the largest bond issue we've done?
It is.
Is this a 30-year term? Is that the longest term that we've had?
It is the longest that we've had, yes. And it goes to, it has to be within the life of the project that we're constructing.
Traditionally, we've done a 20-year, I think.
Right.
Correct. And that certainly helps the numbers.
Yes.
You know, and I know you were dealing with the numbers provided by the college to reach your conclusions. If you could go back to that pro forma sheet, column, is it C? B, shows net revenue for Waller.
Correct.
Now that's based off the enrollment numbers that we've been told we didn't need enrollment to make this payment, but that net revenue is included in with your eventual ratios, correct?
For this, yes, sir.
Okay. That net revenue, is that, I'm not sure what I understand by net revenue in that reference, because there's still, I can't imagine we're going to make in 2031 $12 million of net profit on that campus. So obviously there's some operational expenses that need to come out of that.
They're deducted already.
Right. Oh, they're deducted already.
Yes, it's net revenues is operating revenues minus operating expenses.
So okay. So these aren't the pledged revenues that we'll need to meet this ratio. This is you anticipate that we will make in 31 $12 million?
Based on the information that we have, yes.
Wow. That's interesting. Why don't we just get up all and move to Waller? I mean, we're making $10 million right now with 18,000 students. It's hard to imagine how we're going to make $12 million with 1,000 students at Waller. So I guess that doesn't connect for me either. I apologize. But again, you're working with information that was provided to you.
Correct.
And that's the best you can do. Again, I just don't think the numbers add up. It's the largest bond issue we've ever done. At $55 million, it's the longest term we've ever had at 30 years. Don't know that it's the highest interest rate, but but some of our earlier ones we did were much higher, I'm sure.
Right.
When we were getting started in Bryan. Thank you you've done a good job for us for a long time, and I appreciate our friendship and you being a part of this today.
Well,
I really do.
Thank you. Likewise, working with you for many years.
I'll be voting no.
Okay.
may I add a comment? I just want to reiterate what we talked about at the budget meeting on Monday. 3 big areas. One, financially, can we afford this? The answer is yes. Number 2 is, do we have the leadership and the expertise available to do this? And the answer is yes. Number 3 is, do we have the enrollment to support it? And the answer again is yes. We've had very consistent enrollment. And because of those reasons, I feel very confident in moving this project on. And I just want to reiterate that, Richard. I completely respect your thoughts, but this project is doable, and we can do that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I do have a quick question. I'm not a financial person like Diane over there, but I do have a question about, in a perfect world, if everything went well as far as finances, when we talked about there's a possibility of the college paying it off in 10 years. I guess the question is, have we ever done that?
We've refunded debt at lower rates.
Okay.
We have not, because the college has always been growing and always
Right.
needed to use that cash for more capital projects rather than to repay debt. Now, if you build out and you need no more facilities, or you have enough to pay both facilities and repay debt, you can repay this debt.
So the other question I have about that, if you paid it off in the 10-year, which that would be very optimistic, does the 5.25% interest get prorated for that amount of the 30 years, or do you get a break?
That interest rate is fixed.
Okay.
The owners of the bond get that. You have the right to pay them off sooner at that rate.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? I'll entertain a motion. Oh, go right ahead.
May I ask one question about the paying agent? We have a fee for the paying agent. Is that factored in the proceeds of the bond, or how is that figured? What are the standards for doing this?
It's a $500 a year expense, so it's pretty minimal in the whole scheme of things.
I would like to entertain a motion.
I move that we authorize the administration to proceed with the issuance and sale of Revenue Bond Series 2026.
A second? Trustee Ehlert has second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Adams.
Thank you. I was going to ask you, am I doing that?
Next item on the agenda is the reimbursement resolution.
Next is item D, adoption of a resolution declaring expectation to reimburse expenditures with proceeds of future debt. So,
Yeah,
Mr. Adams?
this is something that we try to do on capital projects when it allows you to spend money before we deliver the bond proceeds and to pay yourself back. If you spend that money before the bond proceeds are delivered, you can't reimburse it out of bond proceeds, and it's a requirement of federal tax law and state law as well. It's something that gives you options to start spending money early.
Are there any questions regarding this? I'd like to entertain a motion.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I move that we adopt a resolution declaring expectation to reimburse expenditures with proceeds of future debt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Yes, ma'am? I think I have Trustee O'Malley on no on that. Dennis, you were yes, is that correct? I understand. Are we good with that? I understand we have no executive session. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move for adjournment.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the meeting is adjourned at 12:04. Thank you all.